from America's finest city. This is Real Talk San Diego on ESPN 1700.
What's happening, gang? You are back live for a second hour of The Secret Stash. Hanging out with some cool local people. Cool local people, man. We're nailing it here on the second hour, talking about some cool local stuff. Who knows, maybe catching a story or two, but definitely with the goal of leaving you a little better than how we found you. I'm your host, Jesse Ibanez, co-founder of the Greenhouse Group, helping folks get into and out of homes. That's our game. Flanked by my home slice, Jennifer Root from Del Mar Lifestyle. What's up, girl?
Jen Root here with Del Mar Lifestyle, and we have a fantastic guest in the house
you're
today.
Not lying.
We are so excited to have co-founder of KaaBoo, the music festival, coming to our little coastal city of Del Mar. So, Chris Brown,
What's
welcome.
up, Chris Brown?
Woo!
Hey, thank you for having me.
First-time
Appreciate
caller,
it.
long-time listener.
There you go. Of course.
That's a good place to start, though, gents. Let's do that. So I feel like, I know I'm speaking from my personal experience right now, but KaaBoo, the word is out.
Yes.
Like, you guys have done a good job at pimping that thing across the county. I'm not sure, though, if I went up to just like a stranger along the street, that they would know what it was yet.
Right.
And that's sort of the plight of the first-year festival, right?
Of course.
So why don't you do us all that solid in Stash Nation and let us know, what is KaaBoo?
Yeah, so KaaBoo, it's interesting when you go into branding and, it's a first-year event, it's tough to tell people kind of who you are, right? And especially when you have these bizarre names in the music festival world. So, yeah, KaaBoo to us, it was a late night. We were around a fire pit.
Uh-oh.
And,
All
there
good
was
names
cocktails,
start at that,
tequila.
right?
And we were sitting there thinking of names, and KaaBoo was essentially it's a fictional word, and to us it means a weekend getaway, living in the moment, and just kind of putting behind reality for a temporary, a couple of days in our case, 3 days to be specific, and just letting your hair down and enjoying yourself. And I think, the more as you age, and in this world with all this technology, right? And we're all plugged in all the time. You got to get away from it. So there's no better way to do that than to go to a live event, in my opinion, especially a music festival.
And I love the thought of the 3 days, like just enough time for the buzz to come up and then subside so you can get back to your life.
It can be a little painful on Monday, but it's worth it. Trust me.
Absolutely. And there's so many great things going on at KaaBoo. It's not just a music festival.
Right.
What else is happening at KaaBoo to make it special
I'm
and
almost
awesome?
feeling like you're underserving yourself a little bit with that. Would you not agree?
Yeah, I feel like there's a whole experience behind.
We got to come up with a
KaaBoo.
new
Correct.
name for your new name.
right. That's building our brand. We're much more. I mean, music. We think of music as the lead actor, right? And that's definitely a focus. And
Well
that's
put.
what.
Well put. You got a point for that. Lead actor. I like that.
Pro. I like that.
Yeah.
And so but there's plenty more there in terms of an overall experience that gets into the food and the wine that we're going to be bringing in both from local restaurants here in town that have some amazing food, some amazing chefs. Great local craft beer, right? So you guys are a hotbed, number 2 to Denver, I must say, but that's okay. It's I know. I'm sorry. My hometown.
Chris's stock just went down a little bit.
I know. I'm just kidding. Anyway, I love it out here. Just kidding. But yeah, great vineyard, great wine, comedy. We have a whole contemporary artwork installation with 100 contemporary artists, and we've got a beach. Literally, we have a beach that we're bringing in. We brought in 1,600 tons of sand and 140 dump trucks yesterday in 4 hours.
I could almost spend the entire show on the logistics of that alone.
We could spend a long time on the logistics. You should see what's going on over there. It's like a city, being
Tell
built.
me you hired the architect of Dubai. Like they shot that whole
like
Palm
that.
Frond Island.
Yes, it feels like that.
I will say the only umbrage that I take so far is that Trombone Shorty and Orleans Avenue is like a smaller font.
Right.
And Trombone Shorty rocks.
No.
If you've never heard Trombone
Right?
Shorty. He is
the
awesome. Yeah, heard him in New Orleans, fell in love. So very excited to have him there. And I feel like there's really something for everyone. Everyone from Bonnie Raitt to Zach Brown Band to the Killers.
Yes.
To No Doubt. So
No, Jen, you can't even do that. Like, because you'd spend the whole show name dropping if you did. You got to go to KaaBooDelMar.com if you haven't already. I got to spell that too. It's KaaBoo and then Delmar.com.
2 A's, 2 O's.
This is like, how many people are on that list?
Yeah, so there's 80 bands and 100. Yeah, so it's going to be 100 plus performances. It's plus we curated a local stage. So there's a ton of local bands that are coming in that were voted on by locals to come in and play. So yeah, so that will be another fun part of it as well. And what's interesting about the mix of the band, so our philosophy is going back to the name. is just because you age and you get older and you have kids and you have a job and you have more responsibility doesn't mean you can't come and enjoy live music.
Chris, why are you staring at me when you say that?
Well, I know. I'm sorry about that. I'm focused. So getting
I'm
older.
basically his target market is what it comes down to. Just because you're older and you're short and you age. No,
right. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we want to provide. I mean, I went to a lot of music festivals last year as part of this and talked to a lot of people in the industry. We want to provide a comfortable experience for people of all ages. So you can be 50, you could be 60. I've seen people at Jazz Fest in New Orleans. I've seen people at Outside Lands. I've seen people at Austin City Limits. We want to be that because we feel like there's an opportunity in that marketplace to unlock those people.
Well, and obviously the thing that you guys are doing, I think you're actually nailing. And of course, the judgment day will be September 21st, 2015, right? On any first year venue is
correct.
Is that you're not taking a pre-existing mold and then slipping yourself into it. Like you guys literally pulverized the thing down, threw it up on a clay wheel, added some water and sand,
and
you got KaaBoo. Like so, what like. I almost want to ask Stash Nation this too. Like if you're following us right now on Twitter at Follow the Stash, you got to ask Chris any questions that you got right now live, and we'll ask them here as well. But how did you imagine this? Like where did you come up with this cacophony of experience?
Yeah, believe it or not, it actually started at Red Rocks, which is obviously a venue that a lot of people know outside of Denver.
Yep.
And I was there with a buddy, and he brought along his colleague, who happens to be my co-founder, Brian Gordon, and he's also the CEO. And we got to talking about music, honestly, and our love for live music. And it was a magical night. And turns out that Brian happened to be looking at a potential investment in a festival that needed some money, and that was a great festival, which actually continues on up in Napa, California, called Bottle Rock. And so it was one of those things where we happened to get into it through kind of looking at the landscape. And when one thing, there was a bunch of things that didn't work out, but we ended up getting interested in the space, and then from there we ended up getting in touch with the fairgrounds.
Wow. So when did this all start? Was this years ago, months ago?
Yeah, so it was the end of 2000, really the kind of tail end of 2013. So kind of September
that
through
makes sense.
December of 13. And so we really started crystallizing everything last year, and second half of the year started hiring people, got a talent buyer in place, started exploring which bands were going to be available, kind of what our lineup was going to look like. And to be honest with you, it's kind of surreal to be here and seeing all this stuff being built over there. Like, wow, this vision is actually happening. And back to your point on, there's existing festivals and you got a blank slate, and there's pluses and minuses to both of those. But here at Del Mar, this is great. It's a great template because you've got such an amazing venue and such an amazing place with great weather to kind of be able to do that from scratch and start that template, right? So it's nice.
Yeah, it's not hard to get people to come to San Diego.
Right.
Yeah. To go and have some fun for a couple days.
Exactly.
At a brand new festival that's going to be Hot Rocks.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, look at the advantages of of just being out here from a climate perspective. And again, I knock on wood when I say that, obviously.
Yeah.
'Cause it's raining
As it's
outside.
raining sideways
raining
right
all
now,
of our
yeah.
all of our
Yeah.
guys working so hard.
Hey,
Could have a Woodstock redo.
Yeah,
There you go.
exactly.
But then you go back to infrastructure, right?
Jen, I'm giving us a point for that. We were on the same wavelength there.
But yeah, you go back to infrastructure at the venue, right? I mean, there's bathrooms and there's seating and there's indoor-outdoor space and there's shade, and so there's all those things that are a benefit versus some festivals you got to bring all that stuff in. So it's very nice to have a great venue that has a lot of that stuff built in that we can leverage off of.
Yeah, so tell us about some of the amenities and how
There you go.
guys are making everything different and really, kind of taking the festival mentality to the next level.
Yeah, we heard
Sure.
about the comedy. We heard about the music
Yeah.
being the main artist thing. But what else?
Yeah, and this is a great point because obviously the music sometimes steals the spotlight a little bit. But outside of that, as I said, there's a big focus on the culinary piece. So
Ooh.
take the Food and Wine Festival and bring it into KaaBoo. That's kind of our goal, is to bring in higher quality food and beverage, right, for people, so that you're not just having standard fare that you might have at a football game or a baseball game, right? We're trying to elevate that so that you do have good stuff. The comedy, right? So that's a different element that as you get older, comedy's on fire right now, and the older demographics eating it up. So we think it's a great fit. And that's a perfect kind of later night activity that takes you away from the music a little bit.
And that's going to be a tough context. But I actually did stand-up comedy for a while, and I'll tell you, like, if it's not a comedy club, It's hard, dude.
Yeah, we're creating though. It'll be interesting. You should see the venue. It's almost like a comedy club.
That's what I was hoping you were going to say.
It's very much like that, and it's actually away from the music where it's more
brilliant.
So they don't get distracted.
Brilliant.
So, we've thought hard about
Chris
that.
is racking up points.
Racking
up points.
You have 1,000 points. You have an A+ right now.
And then the contemporary artists that we're having too. So there's 100 contemporary artists coming in. We're gonna have live painting, big, huge murals. You should see the murals going up over there. So much more diverse.
Like they're going down
music.
live.
Yeah, there's going to be live murals.
Stop it.
It's
Yeah.
sick. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Dude, this is going to be a thing.
Yeah, so it's trying to be more than just that festival where it's all focused on the music.
Gang,
Excellent.
that's why we're hanging out with Chris Brown, co-founder of KaaBoo up in Del Mar. You have to say it like that, right? You can't just say KaaBoo.
Right.
Right.
We've gotten a lot of pronunciations of it, but KaaBoo is the correct pronunciation.
Yeah,
yes.
like you need
Two
like a
A's,
little,
two
like a
O's.
Latin accente over the second
Right.
O, like KaaBoo.
And we actually have a stacked logo, so it kind of looks cool with the 2 A's and the 2 O's on top of each other. So,
My man, that's why we got you live in the stash. Real Talk Radio San Diego, obviously hanging out with Chris Brown. Now, coming up after the break, we're going to get a little bit deeper about where these kids from Colorado came up with this crazy idea in the first place. First time venue, first time show.
Yep.
Excited to hear more about it with Chris Brown. Right back, hanging out. We'll be right back.